Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. A new little series that we're starting this week for the rest of the season, in addition to the normal film rooms that we're also getting every single either Thursday or Friday. And these are a few picks against the spread brought to you by our wonderful sponsor, MyBookie, that also sponsors the film room. And this was kind of born out of some questions that I get every single week about picks against the spread, because when I post my straight up game picks, they don't really factor in the spread. I'm just picking straight up winners. And so people were wondering, since they're betting on these games, when they cash in and get those bonuses that MyBookie are giving all the viewers for this channel, they're saying, okay, well, when you factor in spread, what are some games that I should bet on? So every single week, I'm going to be taking 3 games and factoring in the spread and talking about who I am betting on every single week. And a lot of the times, it's those really, really nitty-gritty close games that you're not 100% sure which way to go. But when you factor in the spread, it makes it a little bit easier. So first things first, let's start with Ravens at Panthers. I mean, this is a dead even kind of game. Ravens are favored by 2 points as road favorites in Carolina, which is normally a pretty favorable position for the Panthers because they are 5-2 as the home underdog against the spread. In the last 5 seasons. They're not home underdogs that often, obviously. So, going back to the start of 2014, I believe it was, they're 5-2. So it's a rare opportunity for them to be a road underdog. And again, it's only a 2-point favorite for Baltimore, so it's a really tough call to make. But I personally think that the Panthers are a pretty decent matchup for Baltimore, especially when they're hosting them in Carolina, which is not an easy place to play. I think the Panthers are probably going to spread them out a little bit. The run game is not going to do anything for them because Baltimore's run defense is ridiculous. So, Christian McCaffrey's not going to be making a lot of hay on the ground here, but I do think that when they spread them out and go kind of 4 wide, 5 wide like they like to do, when you can spread out Baltimore's defense, make their blitzes a little bit easier to read, get McCaffrey in space, get DJ Moore in space, get Greg Olsen, those one-on-ones, I think that is where they're really going to hurt the Panthers. Maybe not light them up, but I do think it's going to be enough for them, when they kind of go into that spread game to put up some points. And on the flip side, the Panthers defense is a really good matchup for Baltimore because Baltimore, they struggle to run the ball and they kind of live and die by whether or not Alex Collins feasts. Because you really don't want to trust Joe Flacco. He's been okay this season, certainly better than in past years, but you don't want to lean on him to throw the ball 40 times a game. Carolina's got a good run defense, so I don't think they're going to get Alex Collins going. And if you're doing a shootout between Flacco and Cam, that's a pretty easy decision to me. So not only do I think the Panthers are going to cover the spread, I think they're going to outright win the game. So again, really close game, but I mean, they're 5-2 against the spread as road underdogs for a reason. They're a pretty damn good team, and Carolina is not an easy place to play. Next game, we got the Seahawks at the Lions. If you watched my film room this week, which I just put out, all about Kerryon Johnson and kind of the Lions as a whole, I mean, they've been getting better every single week. They've knocked off some really good teams, especially at home. They beat the Patriots and the Packers at home pretty convincingly. And now that they're starting to feed Kerryon Johnson, and it's not like the Seahawks defense is the way it used to be. They've got some pieces, but it's nowhere near, Legion of Boom status. So I think the Lions, are going to be able to establish the run. And, especially if Damon Harrison plays, I would bet on the Lions as 3-point favorites here at home. I mean, they've just been steadily getting better. The Lions have covered the spread in 5 consecutive games, going back to that, horrible Week 1 debacle in the Jets. When you take out that Week 1 blowout, which I believe was on Monday Night Football, if you take out that game, they've covered the spread every game this year by like an average of 5.5, 6 points, something like that. So it's a team that's getting better. It's a team that's adding pieces. It's a team that's establishing their identity, and they're playing against a team that is still, at least in my opinion, trying to find itself and is not the greatest matchup for Detroit in the first place. So to me, all signs are pointing to the Lions not just winning this game, but covering the spread of 3 points. I think they're going to win by more than a field goal. So Detroit's a pretty easy bet for me. And then moving on to the last one, Browns at Steelers. The Steelers are favored by 8 at home here. And personally, I would consider, I understand if you want to bet on the Steelers because I think they're like 4-1 against the spread as 8-point favorites. But the Browns team's a little bit different this year. To me, the 8-point spread is a little bit too generous to Pittsburgh. The Browns have been in every single game this year, including the one that they played against the Steelers in Week 1. And you could argue that if Baker Mayfield was playing that game, they would have beat Pittsburgh because they forced 6 turnovers from them. It was kind of a sloppy game, but I mean, the Browns are not a bad team this year. They're not winning like a good team, but they're not losing like a bad team. So even if I think the Steelers are going to win, which I do, I don't think they're going to win by more than 8 points. So I would bet on the Browns to cover and probably lose maybe by a touchdown or like 4 or 5 points, but I don't think they're going to lose by 2 possessions. That's a little bit too generous to Pittsburgh for me, considering Pittsburgh's been pretty inconsistent themselves. So that's where I'm at with all 3 of these games. I'm betting on the Panthers to cover, I'm betting on the Lions to cover, and I'm betting on the Browns to cover. Hopefully this helps you guys out. Knowing my luck, I probably won't get all 3, but if I can get 2 out of 3, I'll be sitting pretty. So thank you again for watching, and thank you again to my sponsor, MyBookie. If you guys want to take advantage of some of these bets, they still have a promo going on. You can follow the link in the description. Enter promo code Brett when you sign up and deposit. And any deposit you put in up to $1,000, you can get up to a 100% bonus, which is basically just free money. So if you're planning on betting on these games anyway, you might as well take advantage of that because it is a huge, huge bonus. Thank you again to MyBookie, and thank all of you for watching. I'll be back next week with another Film Room episode and 3 more picks against the spread. So until then, I'll see you guys later.